Hello there, welcome to One on One. My name is Bridget Otu, and in the next 50 minutes, we will talk about some very topical issues that has gripped this nation. It involves, scandals upon scandals, corruption. The first one is the SML. First, the presidency said the detailed report bordered on national security and therefore refused the Media Foundation for West Africa's request. Then they made a U-turn, but the timing of the U-turn is suspect. It was at the peak of the conversation on the revelation by the Member of Parliament for North Tongue constituency that indeed, BRYAN ACHEAMPONG, who is a Greek minister, is buying 60% stake. That's Rock City Hotel, a hotel he owns 100%, is buying 60% stake in some very six hotels. It was at the peak of that, Labour threatening to go on strike, that the president made a U-turn and puts the whole national security reasons for denying the request of publishing the details, releasing the full details of SML. We are talking to a political scientist or a political analyst on this. We'll talk briefly about Dr. BAWUMIA's campaign as well, and the arrest and subsequent release of Mr. Hobson Adoye, Movement for Change, former member of the NPP, and the serious allegation he made about the 2016 elections, which involved detonating dynamite. As we go into the election year, these are things that we should be looking at because we want a peaceful election. Did it happen? Did it not? And if it did, how do we avoid such a thing from happening? When we come back, my guest is Dr. Jonathan ASANTE-OTCHERE, a political scientist or political analyst, and he would help us to understand what is happening and the implications of this on our body politic. We'll be right back. Welcome back to One on One. Dr. Jonathan ASANTE-OTCHERE, welcome to the show. And always a privilege because you drive all the way from Cape Coast to be here. I don't take that for granted.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you too.
Thank you. So I want to start with this whole SML deal and what we know so far. That the president said the reasons for denying, and I just want to read the exact thing that the president said. The reasons that the president assigned to the refusal of that very report, which is now available to the public. The president said in their statement, he said, the president, this was a letter dated on the 7th of May, 2024. And in the letter, the presidency acknowledged receipt of Media Foundation for West Africa's request to have the SML deal report by KPMG open. Now, what's this whole SML deal? So it was a company that was contracted to look at, I just want to put it simply, like sealing, like leakages, loopholes within the petroleum, upstream, downstream sector. And so, people were excited, but per the reports, the company did absolutely nothing. Earlier reports suggested that they were paid 1 billion. In fact, the presidency said they were paid 1 billion. Now, the detailed report that has come out shows that they were paid over 1.4 billion for work that could have been done by the National Petroleum Authority. Now, revenue indeed went up, but per the report, KPMG says the report did not, the revenue did not go up because of SML's work, but rather because taxes were increased. It's not rocket science. If you increase taxes, naturally your reports will go up. So why is it that a company that was rejected 3 times by the PPA was still forced and given this contract? Who stands to benefit? And of what impact is this having on our politics, on the presidency when it comes to corruption, scandals? Dr. Jonathan ASANTE-OTCHERE, I know I'm getting carried away because I am being fascinated by what's happening. Earlier, I heard Mr. Franklin Kujo says every crooked deal that is in the public was cooked at the Flagstaff House. I don't know what your opinion is on that. Given this, do you honestly believe that this would have gone through without the support of the presidency? A company that has been rejected 3 times by PPA because they didn't have, they quote, capacity and experience.
Well, I can appreciate the your temperature level
I know.
is rising. It's really rising.
Because it's heartbreaking to read these things.
It is. This is a country that is unable to pay its debt for the first time in so many years I don't even remember. And you see, when we're supposed to utilize the scarce resources in an optimum way that will benefit all and sundry, you see that those at the top machinate all manner of things. Look, this is heart-rending. We need to condemn this in no uncertain terms. And the presidency must come clean on this. Somebody was asking me about this, what's it called, ghost names. And that, you know, people, you know,
there's so many scandals, you know. I
ghost
forgot
names.
about that.
And I said that, look, no ordinary teacher can be a ghost. The ghost names are created by the directors, the finance officers, the accountants, the CEOs of these institutions. They create the ghost names. And yet we worry ourselves. And so that is why I agreed with the NAT president. He was fuming and very angry, speaking on top of his voice. What else do you expect him to do? Because day in, day out, there's, what's it called? The SP, Special Prosecutor, is stopping people's salary. You understand? And then he finds out that, look, there are places that exist, they are doing teaching, people have been appointed to those places, but they don't have structures in place. So you may think that is a ghost. But that is the more reason why I feel that something of this sort, are we going to go after the individuals at SML? It can never be that something as gargantuan, a scandal as gargantuan, you know, of this nature will not emanate from the Jubilee House. Obviously, the finance minister should be part of this.
The former finance minister.
The former finance minister.
He and GRA, they literally handpicked this company.
You know, I said something that what the president did in terms of the reshuffling that he did is much ado about nothing. Because the current finance minister, the then deputy Ajua, she's now the minister of state. And then you have another deputy plus substantive one, and you have elevated Ken Oforiatta to a different portfolio.
Even bigger than the finance minister.
Do you get the point? So it is still a cabal. It is still a cabal. The president cannot be exonerated in this. The vice president cannot be exonerated in this. Because sometimes I sit and ask myself, is it the case that the president feels disappointed in the vice president, or he doesn't see that the vice president has failed him? Because this is someone that you gave reasons that you needed him to be your running mate when he did not even he wasn't a card-bearing member of the party. It is because of his background and the expertise that he was bringing on board, and you praised him. So if all this while, day in, day out, is becoming 1 minute, one scandal, as far as our current government is concerned, then definitely you cannot be exonerated. None of them could easily be exculpated from this. And I think that some of these scandals, there is the need, should power change hands, for us to see as Ghanaians how we are going to recoup all these kinds of money that has gone down the drain. The point that also we need to ask the president as a matter of urgency to ask GRA to terminate this particular contract. Telling us that this contract, the report that KPMG brought, borders on national security, for which reason you're not ready to release. I think it was a cock and bull reason. You see, it was a cock and bull reason. But unfortunately, we still have people defending that. Because where we find ourselves, I listened to someone who was talking about, you see, we don't seem to know the extent of the financial quagmire we find ourselves. If we did, I think that we'll be more angry. We should be. Do you get? So it is just unfortunate that we find ourselves, and then president will be stoking national security. That's quite unfortunate.
But here is the thing. Even before the release, no action has been taken.
Yes.
We have not heard that, look, okay, even though finance minister is no longer finance minister, okay, we are withdrawing from where we have put him, or anyone who worked on this. Instead, you had persons at SML mounting platforms, and I remember one of their reps, rep on a sister station saying confidently that they were not paid a billion cedis as stated in the president's white paper.
Yeah.
And instead, it's even more than that. So why are they so confident, right, in going on platforms to defend such roads when everybody else is sitting? I think this morning I was reading a report from Bright Simmons of Imani, and he said something about, I think, work that they could have paid, I think, $5,000 for. They paid over some millions of dollars for some work, SML. Why are they so confident in doing so? Is it that we are supposed to hit the street? What are we to do to get them to act?
Yeah, the SML and the assigns are confident. Why? It's because probably the money did not get to them. You see?
You mean someone else is using SML?
They have been paid.
Okay.
Probably, but the money has not hit their account.
Okay.
But in terms of the accounting processes, it has been accounted that that kind of money has been paid. So it is only when you establish a commission of inquiry, that is when you'll be able to get all the facts.
Are they not in bed with it? I mean, because
yes,
I heard the CEO say because of Manasseh's report now, next government says they will cancel their contract. He was more worried about that. Then they are in bed with the government.
Certainly, because if you look at this work is just duplicitous in the sense that it is a job that NPA was doing anyway.
Yeah.
They were never complaining. The CEO himself said that it appears duplicitous. So why that he doesn't know. But of course, there is a superior force ahead of him. Yeah. And that is orchestrated by the finance minister and the ministry and all the cohorts over there. And that cannot happen without the tacit knowledge of the president and the vice president. It cannot happen because you are talking about your brother. And this is someone that you were forced over and over again to sack him, of which you refused. And then when everything had reached the anticlimax level, the euphoria surrounding it is gone, then you say you have been relieved, only for you to elevate him once again. Yeah. And we don't really hear of him. Yeah. But as for this SML deal, it's a stinky deal that must see the light of day. It must see the light of day. I'm very sure the president has been quite consistent when it comes to things of that nature. He will not in any way initiate anything that will inure to their disadvantage. He will not. Especially when we are getting to the election year. And so they will find a way of treating it in a wishy-washy manner. Okay. Trust me, because Cecilia Dapa's case, when we had not even started anything, the president write a letter, extolling the virtue of the woman.
Even before she was investigated.
You see?
And in the end, what happened? Yoko, they've just bastardized, rubbished the case.
And when you are called a clearing agent, you say, no. Why should you be given such a tag? But if you look at the scandals that have come, no wonder it is not by accident that the Ghana Integrity Initiative, the corruption index that came, 3 years in a row, the percentage that you have had is the lowest of the incompetent Mr. Mahama that you all labeled. Sure. So if that happens, then it means that corruption has virtually become the middle name of the government in power. Day in, day, every hour one scandal, every minute one scandal. Where are we going? And this is a country that is hemorrhaging in terms of our resources and revenue.
Doc, then I am hesitant to ask what you want to see happen, because it looks as if nothing would happen. I shudder. So then what? Is it left on us as citizens?
It will be very uncharacteristic of the president that something will happen.
Wow.
Yes. It will be very uncharacteristic. He should shame some of us and do something for us to see. If it is a commission of inquiry, if it is something that they ought to prosecute, then all those who, are part of this machination should come to the fore and be prosecuted. He shouldn't wait for MPP to lose power before some other people will say that, they are being harassed, they are being haunted with the same law, with the same court processes. That shouldn't be. Okay. Something of this nature. And you see, if the president is not in the know, this is the more reason why he should show integrity and leadership. First, asking for its abolition and cancellation, and then letting the matter be investigated in the law court.
Okay. So I just want to share a few things that have come up in respect of this SML scandal. Kwesi Pratt, a veteran journalist, editor of the Insight newspaper, described the SML scandal as the mother of all scandals in the scandal-ridden administration of President Akufo-Addo. Now, since the full report was also released, I follow the Fourth Estate and Bryce Simmons, and they have been on it from day one. And yes, like a point I made earlier, Fourth Estate also tweeted it and said that the significant growth in revenue from 2015 to 2023, except for 2017, can be attributed to the increase in the number of taxes during the period. And there were 2 taxes in 2015, but increased to 5. And that's why the revenue went up. It is not because SML did a fantastic job or they were super or stellar in their performance. In fact, they had done nothing there. Now, again, Fourth Estate also says that SML's claim, okay, so I've talked about it, that it was solely responsible for the increase in petroleum revenue in the downstream. They are saying that it is false. They did not do that. I'm looking for Bryce Simmons' post on this. Well, Bryce Simmons again came online and posted this. I always say Bryce Simmons doesn't speak on Kasaba, so when he speaks, I know that he is on to something. Says that there's even another one coming up, that they are trying to do away with this one and come up with another one. So I'll go on his page on Twitter and read exactly what he wrote. I have the second one. Okay, BB Simmons is here. So I'll just read what he said in respect of this. Yep. He says, fresh intel, right? Looks like as the SML cash sum started dropping, some folks at NPA said, damn, money passed wrong road, and then started cooking something called SAMS, which is PSAMS. And says, get serious, the only thing that we got from the 1.4 billion paid SM is the automatic tank gauges. It says SML must be made to complete their installation and deliver value to Ghana, because I think there were some stations that didn't have that electronic gauge that they were talking about. Now, their rip-off agreements must be amended to a reasonable fixed fee, and the ATGs, which is the tanks I was talking about, must be calibrated by GSA, I believe Ghana Standard Authority, to work well. NPA should integrate and use those, not create another boutique enterprise. Are you surprised that there are people looking at, okay, if SML go, then we will also create our own thing to also make some money? Are you surprised that this is happening, like this revelation that he's putting out? Well,
when Bryce Simmons speaks, he's someone I highly respect.
Yeah.
Because he knows his stuff, and he will do, he will demonstrate whatever he's saying, on a board, a PowerPoint presentation. It's just a remarkable figure. So I don't need to add anything to that. Right. But what I want to say is, I think this is what Manasseh said. He said that they did not bring any contribution. No. In fact, it is not as if their work is to check diversion. Your mandate is not able to check diversion. It's not able to check under declaration. Do you get the point? So these things border on fraud. And if your mandate is not to do any of these, then, in fact, what the CEO said is a truism. It's a duplicitous work. It's much ado about nothing. And I am tempted to believe that maybe the truth out there is the fact that SML might not have received that money. And that someone bigger than SML is using them as a pawn. They should come clean.
Wow. But then the extent SML has also gone to prove that indeed they are working. That's why I cannot take them out. I mean, they are not innocent bystanders. They are active participants in this corruption.
Of course. You see, it is over their pay grade. That's how I see it. It's over
so
their
it's like
pay
we're
grade.
using, like you said, a pawn.
Yes,
so
they're just a pawn. That's how I see it. They are just a pawn. Because now, we created a platform as a conduit to make some money. Now, we are using your platform to do that. We'll of course, there is no way we'll do this without making you benefit from it.
Right, got it.
Do you get the point? There's not making you benefit from it. This borders on inflation of contract prices. It is create, loot, sit and share. This is above the pay grade, if you asked me, of SML.
So when it comes to stealing, the inflation of figures is high. Then when it comes to buying or stealing state assets, they undervalue. I want to move on to the hotel issue where, again, Member of Parliament for North Tongue constituents, Mr. Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, again, whistleblowing. He's doing it like nobody. And I wonder, how he's able to do it, because with the resources that he has, at least he's able to do this. But just imagine having to rely on, like us. I mean, I know we're not doing it such a great job. That's why I appreciate him. And then he blows the whistle on a potential state, individual capture of state assets involving a sitting member of parliament, minister of state, and his hotel. Taking very key hotels. I mean, we all go there, the Labadi beaches, the Buzia, and whatnot. And he's looking at 60% stake. Now, without even going to the details of whether it is undervalued, whether it's 600,000, we'll talk about even the consultants and how much they took. Okay, without sitting outside, do you even need an expert to tell you that this is wrong and it should not happen?
Let me start by quoting one of the ancient poets. And it's a renowned, a refrain.
Right.
He whom the gods want to destroy,
they first
make mad.
Yes, I like that quote.
And that is the footpath that the current government is on.
Wow.
And if you asked me, what they do is that they close your eyes to see things that will make you change your mind, block your ears to hear the very cries of the people who gave you the mandate. All what they are doing is to leading you to your doom. Now, when you fall, then you begin to dust yourself and then say, how did I end here? Then you do an introspective and retrospective analysis of what you did. You, in terms of politics, by the time that the scales fall off your eyes, you are in opposition. You are in opposition. That is it. And so you see, government does not seem to know exactly what they are doing. Today this comes up. Tomorrow this comes up. And it appears that the entirety of the citizenry are against them. And that is why you see that opposition. The very moment I saw that the citizens of this country decided to oppose the tariff on electricity, VAT on electricity, and that emission levy, with that spontaneous force, that was when I realized that the goodwill of our government, the president, the vice president, is gone. They don't have it. I mean, if you look at the reality on the ground, I asked myself, why? And the question that the union asked, they told
labor unions? Yes, they are up in them. They are threatening to go on strike. Like it would be the mother of all strikes. Yes,
that's what they have threatened to do. If they go ahead unconscionably over this particular deal, they will see the mother of all strikes. But if Clocksack and that of TUC should lay their whatever tools on, I mean, you are finished. Because the president saw that coming with the issue of the VAT and that of the emission levy, and then they dropped that. So some of us felt that, look, the doomsday that came, it was intentional. They want us to know that they don't have the money, but yet they don't want us to know that they will accept that as doomsday. And it's a punishment for us not accepting
the VAT on the electricity.
So that was the punishment, psychologically. So the point about this is that I think as a nation we have reached a frustrating level. We don't seem to know exactly what to do with our current government, because is it the case that inwardly they feel they are losing the elections? For which reason? For which reason they will want to, put their feet on the ground.
So that even when they are in opposition, they control.
Yes.
Wow.
And state capture is not accidentally done. It is something that is orchestrated in the room and it is built outside. Don't forget this SNIT issue where we have
even Ejapadia getting the sun there. Yes.
So it is part of a whole machinery. And what they want to do is that they want to be the power brokers in the future, determine who should be the next president. And it is going to be done in such a way that all what they will have to do is to withdraw the profit that they make from the system, to reduce the strength of your currency, and then the dollar will be beating the cedi like no other. And when that happens, the ordinary citizen will come after government. Government will become unpopular. And I am very happy the response the union, especially I think Dr. Bampo, Clark President, gave, said this is pensioners' fund, pensioners' money. It is not government money. So government, you see, should not take it as though they own that money and they can decide to divest, you see, resources of that nature to people that they like. Let's go to the real destiny as well. Someone who is a cabinet minister.
Yeah, 1 second. Just hang on a bit. We have to take a break. When we come back from the break, Dr. Jonathan Asante-Otchere will go into the power behind the person who is trying to buy these hotels and the implications of that. And hopefully, the whole TUC and the other unions will marshal their force behind and stop the sale. We'll be right back. Welcome back to One on One. I'm not even going to say it. I'm going straight to my guest, Dr. Jonathan Asante-Otchere, with me in the studio. So before the break, you're talking about, the man behind this, owner of Rock City Hotel, 100% shareholder, by the way, says that, oh, he's not a director, he's not part of the day-to-day, but he's a cabinet minister. Please. Who?
You see, who is BRYAN Acheampong? How did he come by all this kind of wealth? What audit, lifestyle audit have we done? What kind of taxes does he pay? You see, as a nation, we are not saying that kill the golden hen that lay the golden eggs. No. We need to build our domestic capacity. Individuals must have the opportunity to build, because if I'm taking the refrain of President Kufuor then, say the private sector is the engine of growth. The private sector is the engine of growth. So at this point where the Ghana Statistical Service brought, figure of 14.7 thereabout in terms of unemployment, which is more than ×2 of what you inherited from the incompetent former president's administration, as you always touted them, and all your figures are in the negative, far, far worse than what you inherited. Then it looks good that you have such a private individual in that fray going to create some kind of efficiency and probably more jobs so that the youth will get some jobs. But where it is coming from is worrying. Is it the case that if it were to be someone who is not a politician and a minister in the cabinet of President Akufo-Addo would have won this bid?
Even what was the whole process, tender? Nobody said the bidding, and they presented the most juiciest proposal. But there is no transparency in that. So how do we even verify what you're saying?
4 top hotels, 60% of that, just around, how much? Is it $4.something million? No. This is underestimated. It has been undervalued. It has been undervalued. And we do not know how they arrived at that kind of conclusion.
The point you're making about if there was somebody else who is not in cabinet who came forward and said, I want it, would they have approved?
Would they have approved? Would the rate have been that low?
This low,
So, I mean, a lot of questions ought to be asked, and I understand where Mr. Dr. BRYAN Acheampong is also vehemently opposed to the views that Mr. Blakwa, has been putting out there. I mean,
He said,
as
well,
a
he's
nation,
after his character. He's the no, but
he shouldn't personalize it.
let's put. I want to even put Mr. Okudzeto Ablakwa out. That's why I asked the question that even without any of that, you're sitting outside, somebody paid by the taxpayer, MP, minister, says that I have enough resources to buy these hotels at this rate because I own one hotel in Kwewu thereabouts. You know, and we should be quiet because, oh, you're saving us. It shouldn't happen. Their opportunity, first of all, should not even exist.
I'm yet to cite any report indicative of the fact that these hotels have not been performing.
Good.
We need to cite that report, and for which reason they need a strategic investor to be in there.
Right.
You see, so that would depersonalize the whole transaction. But for the optics, it is not good. It is not good for the image of the president, the vice president, the entirety of party in government. It is not. And you see, scandals of this nature coming up in an election year would definitely affect your chances in the 2024 elections, because now people will want to say, how come only a few will want to dominate and take over the resources that ought to be for ordinary Ghanaian and more than. So, I mean, it's just mind-boggling where we've gotten to, where day in there. You don't even know which scandal to discuss.
I mean, given that the president's response to, like you said, it will be uncharacteristics of the president to respond.
Yeah.
Given that, is our hope relying solely on labor union to force the president to ensuring that this bill does not go through?
That is the last resort. And the threat they have put out there, I think that message has been sent forcefully to the presidency.
Right.
And maybe they will have to hold a cabinet meeting on this and discontinue.
Right.
Because if he were to be in opposition, for example, and he's not in government, and is getting this, I think,
and it was a competitive bid. Other people, other companies, and there's a fair scoring system. You can see how this Rock City got X figure, and that is bad. Then people won't complain.
No.
But everything is done clandestine. You know, everything is covered. Then it means you have a hidden agenda.
You see, before they might have gotten to this level, the kind of money he would have expended, greasing people's palms along the line.
Even to force them to sell.
Yes.
Even if they are not.
Oh, yes. Look, I am aware of some information to the effect that, look, this became a banter at the cabinet.
Wow.
Yes. And at another level, others were interested in this particular deal. And they were
blocked.
Not. Yes.
Oh.
So it was a kind of banter. And I'm sure probably,
I think I now understand why when he mounts platforms, he speaks like that we will never hand over power to the NDC. He knew what he was saying because he thinks he's going to capture hotels and will be in power forever. No, it's only the Ghanaian people who will give you that power. And when they give you that power, better cherish it and guard their resources jealously, else they will use the same thumb. We are going to resort to it. Use the same thumb to kick you out. Now, speaking of same government, and their presidential candidates. How does this, I think, I want to remember the person who said this, that it's as though there is, an agenda to make sure BAWUMIA loses the election and loses it like really, really badly. Are you part of that school of thoughts?
Yes, I am one of those who have been looking at that issue in a very cynical manner. That is the president really or genuinely for BAWUMIA's win? Because if he were, the things that have been happening, there's no way, unless maybe the president, they have something else underneath their feet that we are not aware of, that will make him and Dr. BAWUMIA win the elections. If that is not the case, and this is what they've been putting out there as a right foot, up there, I think that they are getting it wrong. Genuinely, maybe he doesn't really want him to win. But maybe that is a cynical look of that. Because if you look at the scandals that, keep coming up, they are in this together. I always tell my students, If I give you presentation, I tell you corporate damage, corporate benefit, we sail together or we sink together. So that is why it was quite surprising and very immature political on the part of the vice president to suggest that he was the mate and someone was a driver. That was politically unstrategic.
Yeah, the mates can order finance ministry to pay nurses their money. I mean, like, I don't know if Bawumia doesn't know when he's lying. I honestly don't get it because you don't have the power, but somehow you're able to tell finance ministry that, look, pay these guys because it's not good for my campaign.
Yeah. And obviously, whatever
so
is happening...
So you're not a mate?
You are not a mate. You are not a mate. Not at all. And he just shot himself in the foot because that particular speech that he gave out there, that is what caught the attention of the media. The mate and the driver analysis. And it did not go down well. I think Imani Africa did some poll on this, and that the negative sentiment against that speech rose from 10 to 30-something%. And it was very bad. So he's trying to make amends. But unfortunately, day in, day out, you know, as he tries to turn the corner, something else comes, and it is what? Derailing the fortunes of the campaign that he intends to do or he's been doing. It's just quite unfortunate for him. I pity him. And he himself, the advice I gave their team is that, look, go out there, bring out the tapes from 2016 down to 20-something. Sit down, watch all. Find out the kinds of things he's been saying and he said. And find a thin line between all of this so that you project yourself differently. Because whatever you say today, there is an antithesis of it that happened. So it derails your campaign. No matter what miracles Abuaji and Co will be saying, it is not working. That is why I said, he whom the gods want to destroy, they first make mad.
Right.
As of now, the government in its entirety have not accepted the fact that they caused the mess that we find ourselves. It's always been Russia invasion of Ukraine, and then you're still talking about COVID.
And now they are even working with these hypotheses that, oh, if it were NDC, it would have been worse. If it were, I mean,
that is a very incoherent thought anybody will put out there. And don't forget, NDC were hit by crisis.
Yes.
Two main crises: power outages and the implementation of the single spine. That in itself created a huge wage bill for the government. They did not anticipate that they were going to get there.
But you know one thing that people are silent on in terms of crisis? It was at that time, the financial crisis, the global financial crisis.
We were hit by that.
We were hit by but for some reason, we've been silent on it. I mean, I can't imagine NPP being in power in 2008 and being hit by the global financial crisis of, 2009, and not using that because, I mean, Russia, Ukraine, look at where they are. Look at how many years they have they rode on this in their campaign to talk about this. I wonder
why they don't add Israel invasion of Gaza.
Well,
because
maybe
that could also cause the oil prices to rise. But we are a net exporter of oil.
Right.
So even if the prices go up, you make more revenue. But that is where we find ourselves. There is no way, nobody.
Okay, but Doc, what about Dr. Bawumia when he goes on the tour and he, you know, the issue, he sets his own questions and answered them. Maybe he talked about the issue of taxing churches, which was not a conversation anybody had brought up. He introduces himself and says that he doesn't believe that churches should be taxed, but rather they should be given incentives and pay because they build schools and hospitals and whatnot. Now, he receives a backlash that how do we pay churches? Then comes back and says, I was joking. When you heard that sitting there, what did you think in that moment? Like, what is he doing?
That was quite childish on his part. Pardon me, it was quite childish on his part. I asked him the same question. What brought that particular topic that he was discussing? Is it the case that somebody is out there saying that the churches must be taxed, for which reason that was the only topic that he went out there to talk about? I think that, you see, the bigger picture is the fact that Dr. Bawumia is bereft of message. he is bereft of message. And so what he's trying to do is to micromanage his campaign. He goes out there, looks at the atmosphere and says that, well, it appears this topic is germane to these people, so let me talk about it this way.
Right.
And then there is a backlash.
Wow.
Let me talk about it, and then there is a backlash. You see, you went out there trying to do flamboyant campaign, asking these nurses students to ask a question.
Open. I don't think they will do that again.
They will not.
I don't think they will do that
You
again.
see, all this while it has been propaganda on air.
Yeah.
Oh, that we have restored the allowances that this one cancelled. This young lady says, for
Since I came, I have not
yes,
received
I've
one.
not received anything. It's huge.
Yeah.
The embarrassment.
And these are their own
is
people, by the
beyond
way.
measure.
They call them TESCON, like they are members of NPP on campus. So she's even a member of their party.
And we hear she's been receiving some threats here and there.
Yes.
It's just quite unfortunate.
Unfortunate.
You see, because people's resources are at stake, and
Yeah.
they just did not see that coming. And you see, people have phones.
Yeah.
You never know who is recording what.
Yeah.
Because if they had the means of stopping that, they would have done so. Ask everybody else not to send anything away.
Yeah.
But then you say, Jack,
Oh, it's gone.
it's gone.
Yeah.
What makes you think that the person you say is TESCON is indeed TESCON? And he believes or she believes in the philosophy that you're projecting out there? I think that, unfortunately, Dr. BAWUMIA appears not to be a politician. I dare say that he's not a politician. Now that he's allowed, you see, at first he was so comfortable sitting before an audience or standing before them and demonstrating A, B, C, and D without answering any question. And that is what the MPP projected out there, and that is what sold him.
Yeah.
That's why he won the 2016 elections.
For them.
Not
Yes.
President.
I always say it. Yes.
He won the elections. That is the more reason why he is suffering now.
Yeah.
Because it is his voice.
Yeah.
You see, the tapes that are on the internet.
Yeah.
Not the president. Of course, the president, he also said quite a few things. But in terms of the hope that Ghanaians had, it was because of Dr. BAWUMIA.
Yeah.
Because, you see, the president has not had the goodwill of the people in those years because of his style of politicking.
Yeah.
And so it was more or less like a damaged product. It took Dr. BAWUMIA to resurrect that product. And as a team, they were able to win the elections in 2016.
Yeah.
So he is receiving the backlash. He is now receiving the pay of the things that he said. Because the kind of criticism that he leveled against the previous government, you have performed in a worse manner, only for you to tell us that you are the mate, this man is a driver. And the driver comes to say that everything he should be held responsible. It's not going to work. It is not going to work. It is a team. When the CD was stable, around 2017, 2018, and he came out mentioning
that we have arrested the city and have given the key to IGP.
Yes. Mentioning and touting the names of the economic management team.
Yeah.
Professor John Bafo, Alan Chiremantin, Senior Minister Safo Mafo, Dr. Akote Friye. What a solid team. Can you remember any of the names of the EMT of the NBC?
And people
laughed.
laughed.
They responded, no.
Yes. And they laughed. Like
Yes.
they laughed. It's almost like it's laughable to even think that and then an economic management team existed.
Yes. They don't even
And he
know
just
any of
rubbished
those people.
Yeah.
And so such manner by which he ridiculed the previous government, their assigns and their agent and those ministers and other things. You see, he's receiving a backlash, a 100-fold of that.
Because he spoke in 100-fold. I mean, let's be frank here. Because, for instance, if I listen to Dr. BAWUMIA's lectures, right, at the Central University and all those places, you would think that when given power, the city would come back to 2 cities or 3 cities.
Yeah. And it never did.
No.
It never did. It rather...
And it's now 15 without even us paying our foreign debts. We are not.
Dr. Tuahine, that bank analyst said, I think last month on Joy, that the way the CD, we are in May, he said that in April, the way the CD is depreciating, or the way the dollar is appreciating against the CD, by June, we'll be hitting 15 cities.
Yeah, and it's before June, we're already at 15. Yeah.
And you see, as if, as I quoted earlier, they are on the path of destruction.
Yeah.
They are on the path of doom. And you see, when your time is due, whatever you do, have you seen someone that, you know, is getting drowned in the sea? And there is a baobab tree in the midst of the sea.
Yeah, clinging.
It's not, it is only when he clung on that tree that the sea.
Yeah.
You see, the sea just swept it off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it appears to me that, as I said, he whom the gods wanted to destroy, they first make mad. They are on that trajectory. They are on that trajectory because everything that they do is just like in the World Cup. When luck is on your side, the bad team wins. You may be a good team, but because you have no luck, whatever you do becomes a mistake. Look at the prices of items on the market. You just cannot afford. And it worries me that ordinary food product, things that we use daily, tomatoes, pepper. I mean, I now got to know why those selling kenke in Accra saying that the pepper now you're going to sell.
Yeah, you pay for pepper, yeah.
Because last time I went to Legon Market, Campus Market, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks. 3 pieces of tomatoes, 1 onion, and 15 pieces of pepper, 20 cedis. And I asked myself, how do the poor survive? How are they surviving? Look, where we've gotten to, it is just that we have understood democracy, electoral democracy, and that if we don't like a particular government, the means that they came, we use the same means to ask them to leave. Because, Bridget, should someone or a group of people undertake to usurp the authority of this government, they will get support.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we have passed that level.
Yeah.
You see, we have passed that level. The constitution that we are operating with, well, some say it is a source of stability for all of us. Maybe we need some tweaking here and there.
Yeah.
But the point where the civil society, you know, organization, the labor unions, I think they should be up and doing. Imagine that they want to go on a doomsday vigil, and the police goes out there trying to frustrate them using this very distance. The doomsday, you the policeman, are you not affected by this? Do you even have a generator? You that you are sleeping in those small rooms with all the heat. Imagine when there is light off, you guys will be sleeping outside. So if you have an ordinary citizen who is taking that particular challenge to draw the attention of government, why are you trying to frustrate those individuals? I think that the better they take that injunction from the court, the good, it is good that they do that. It is for all and
why are they so, I don't want to say use the word afraid, but why are they so hesitant in allowing citizens, at the very least, if they are not even getting what they want, express their frustrations by hitting the street? Because I cannot even count the number of demonstrations that they did while in opposition.
Countless.
Why are they
Countless.
so hang on, not allowing them exercise that right? Why?
In an election year, if things of that nature go on, ordinary citizens, they will be averted to some of these things, and that will be a negative publicity for government that is seeking a re-election.
Okay.
So there is a political angle to that, no two ways about that. But why the police is using that, I hope the judge in that court refuses that injunction. I hope he or she does that, because Mr. Kokubako will tell you that ugly noises is better than asking people to bottle in how they feel.
Which is what's happening.
Yes. You see, allow them to vent their spleen. Some will say it is even a keep fit exercise. You understand? So, you see, this all borders on freedom of speech, the opportunity to demonstrate as citizens when things are not going right. It tells you the difference between your government and the other government. That you are too opposed to divergent views. You think that we must all kowtow to your views. Look at the way we have defended that we are not in Dumso.
Yeah.
That is very insulting, to say the least.
We refuse to call it Dumso. We refuse to call it Dumso. And your energy minister will say, go and, if you think it's new, then go and do your own timetable. Like,
that is very disrespectful. This is the very person they are intending to make the vice president running mate. My goodness.
Why has it taken so long for him to announce running? Like, what's the the delay? What's the implications of that?
Okay.
Means he's struggling to find someone.
No, he's not.
Okay.
I think that the person that BAWUMIA is for, the owners of the party are not granting that.
Right. Mm.
That's why I always say that Dr. BAWUMIA is just a tenant. Mm. The landowners, the owners of the building are there.
Right.
He has just been given the opportunity to take the mantle of the party. He is just a tenant trying to be a landlord. Mm. Because the other aspect, I have said that, well, maybe it is the BAWUMIAN principle that he is churning out there. What's the BAWUMIAN principle? The running mate is just a mate. Mm-hmm. So if that is the case, then the one who is the presidential candidate is the most important. The running mate is inconsequential. But here is the case. The characteristics of Dr. BAWUMIA himself are deficient. He has so many deficient characteristics. And so you need to get your running mate as early as possible.
What are some of those deficient characteristics?
You see, already you are carrying the burden of the entire government for all the bad things that the government has done. You are carrying that. Two, truth be told, this is a Christian-dominated country.
Right.
No matter what you do, I've said that definitely there will be some Muslims who will vote for him. There will be some Muslims who will vote against him. Yeah. Some Christians will vote for him because they have their party as MPP. Yeah. And other Christians will vote against him. Yeah. No two ways about that. But whatever you look at it, in whichever form, this is a Christian-dominated country. Right. So obviously you are going to take a Christian as your running mate. You have to do that early enough so that you'll be able to, give a posturing that will eliminate some of the criticisms, that will be put out there. Right. You are not doing that. So already you have a shortfall there. Because if you look at it from June, you look at it, obviously more Christians will want to vote for Mr. Mahama. Sure. Obviously. But we don't need to do religious politics.
Which he hasn't done. It is Dr. BAWUMIA who constantly reminds us who he is on this. Yeah.
The fourth one, of course, is the tribal thing. You can't throw that in away. People vote on tribal grounds. Some people vote on tribal grounds. The common denominator is the economy. But others are motivated to vote for you just because they have a tribal affiliation. They may be in a minority, they may also be in a majority. You come from a minority tribe. So that in itself is also what? A deficiency. Yeah. So you need to have your running mate on board so that you can complement each other. Okay. As for the running mate, I have said that there is no way they will get someone of the same stature as Professor Nana Jinopoka. They don't have that. They can't get it. Yeah. Because the woman herself is bigger than all the presidential candidates. Not vice presidential candidate.
Yes, including her own party.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it is for good reason that Mr. Mahama, obviously, repeated that particular decision. Right. So you see that the real owners of the party are not allowing Dr. BAWUMIA to pick the very person that he likes. Because to be frank with you, the character trait of Dr. Napo and that of Dr. BAWUMIA are parallel.
Right. Thank you.
They are poles apart.
I told you, there's so much to talk about. We need to bring Dr. Jonathan ASANTE-OTCHERE back here. Political analyst. I told you he drove all the way from UCC to be here.
We didn't even talk about that.
I know, we didn't talk about. But I believe there's some truth in that. I believe that what he's saying happened, except that it would embarrass the government, and that's why they are trying to shut him up. What's your thoughts on this? Quick one.
Whichever way you look at it, I felt that government should have been silent. Let your golden silence be your watchword.
Right.
Arresting him, you are rather triggering. and it will have political consequences for government.
And that was to scare. So he says it detonated some dynamite, right, in 2016 elections. It was to obviously scare people because that is the stronghold of the NDC.
But you see, what even surprises me is that where were the security?
Yeah.
It was NDC that was in power. How were they able to escape all checks?
Yeah. That
they were able to do things of that nature over there.
Wow.
Then it means that the security of the NDC government then was weak.
Right.
Was weak. That is something that they must avert their minds to.
Right.
Apart from that, today the man is no longer a member of the MPP.
Yeah.
And if you look at the issue politically, I think that the government, whoever advised them, is fired.
Okay.
Because Hobson will not be quiet.
Right.
So you just needed to ignore him.
Right. Thank you very much for joining us and for driving all the way from Cape, because I so appreciate it. Yeah, leave your comments on all our social media platforms and don't stop speaking about the issues. The SML scandal, we must make sure that this is terminated. Money is lost, persons involved are counted or prosecuted. We don't believe that Nadu would do that, so hopefully the next government will do that. Also, the hotel will be stopped. The labor union, they are going to put their work on the line to make sure that that doesn't happen. So, and Dr. Jonathan ASANTE-OTCHERE has given us the implications of not stopping it, and especially in an election year, and what Dr. BAWUMIA's chances are. We're back next week. Bye.